Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Champion Select. For some people, it's their favorite part of the game. For some people, they just want to get into the gameplay so they can shout about team fights. But hey, that's why I've got a friend on the desk with me here. A friend who I'm sure will delve into the deepest, darkest corners that this Champ Select has to offer as we get into Game 3 between Ottawa and York. York going to be on the red side, Ottawa on the blue, as you can see in our convenient and nice and clean overlay for you on screen. My friend, by the way, I never introduced, is Rapid Casting, who's going to be coloring cover commentary. That's a hard sentence to say while I do the play-by-play. And let's get through these bands and into some of the picks.
Yep, coloring inside the lines. Here we go into Champion Select, Octavian. And really a good adaptation for both sides. The Rengar pick, powerful though it may have been, it didn't scale up, and as the Rek'Sai got tankier and tankier, too much for York to deal with. So now, Rek'Sai, Kha'Zix on the ban list, and we're going to see a much more probably solid focus for both sides instead of just trying to gobble up those juicy champions right off the bat. So Syndra, the first pick coming in here for Ottawa, great pick, a very solid champion. Could have gone for something like LeBlanc. It's very powerful, but much more aggressively focused. They wanted to go more defensive. They could have gone Orianna, and that might be what we see here from York. Because when it came to coordinating their aggression, they were super good at it. They just needed to maybe not show their hand quite so early. Mm-hmm. However, right as I say that, they're going to lock in that Rengar once again, so we'll see if second time's the charm.
So there's been a lot of mid laners who are trying to answer the question of what do you play against Syndra? Because Syndra has been showing up in every league at every level for the last few patches, basically the entirety of Season 7 at this point. And there's been a few answers. Last time we saw Ace King try and answer it with the Echo. This time around, though, he is fighting orbs with orbs, but his are going to be made out of stars because he is Aurelion Sol. And I'm excited. Yeah. I love this champ.
Aurelion Sol, man, that's the throwback champion. So strong for so long, but I just feel like starting to get outscaled a little bit by or at least overtaken in the limelight here by many more meta picks. Coming back, though, it's a little bit interesting, and certainly against Syndra will have his own ways to deal with that. However, getting up close and personal with a burst mage like Syndra might not be the greatest idea, depending on which build he decides to go. So some big questions left to be answered, but with a Vi pick locked in for Harry Abs, this is his go-to. I mean, Rek'Sai, Vi, pioneer of those champions, and for a guy that's completely at home up at 1,000 LP in Challenger, very cool to see him kind of get a little bit of a throwback to a champion that in the current meta, actually a lot stronger than in previous times.
And it does worry me actually a little bit for Ace King's mid lane. He's already into a matchup that on paper seems a little bit rough, playing Aurelion Sol into a powerful burst mage like a Syndra. And then there's a Vi as well. Vi is like the queen of choosing one lane and making sure that your team wins it. So potentially that one lane could be Ace King's, and potentially he could be in some real trouble. We will be seeing Scrandor go back to his Blitzcrank, though. Certainly, I think he had success on that last game, even if his team didn't end up winning the match. And a bit more of a safe AD carry pick than the Jinx for Chake. I do like that into a Vi and a Syndra.
All right, well, as the picks keep coming through, we're looking at a Mordekaiser. It's just a hover, so I would not expect that to be coming back. We're starting to see mages filter down into the AD carry role, and while things like Ziggs might be totally at home there, that's on the ban list. So what else is going to come through? I've seen a whole lot of random mages down there, but no Mordekaiser coming back. He used to be at home down there, but this time it's going to go right back to the Jinx here for Ottawa. Jinx is not a champion that you see a whole lot. The lack of mobility can be a liability, but Victor Cal is going to go back to that versus an Ezreal, and that's going to save our best pick for last, the top lane. I'm a little bit biased because I play top lane, but I actually just want to see what's going to be going up there this time around into what could be a tank Karma?
Yeah, actually, that does seem likely, as the rest of the picks are all very much accounted for. So Tank Karma will be in the top lane, and Maokai may not be the most exciting thing, but picking something resilient into a lane that you may not have a lot of experience with does make some sense, for sure. As we've got both teams fully locked in here, we just need to shout out to some of our sponsors, and we'll be getting into the match as soon as possible, folks.
All right, yeah, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors before we get back in there. I've said band gaming a whole lot. Literally, just go to band.us and it's going to walk you through everything. Band's a social gaming app, which is the primary social app here of the CSL. I want to thank them for helping us organize things. If you guys want to get organized and you do things like gaming or just hanging out with your friends, band gaming is a great way to do that. So you basically go to band.us, you can download the app on your phone, and it just helps you stay in touch. You can do group calls, send out invites, say, hey, you guys want to go raid, quest, play, whatever. It's a great way to do that in Band Gaming's social app, which you can find on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. So go check them out and thank them for helping us. Of course, Twitch TV, a great help to us as well, allowing us to broadcast these ULoL Campus Series games to you all, ULoL to you all. It's all here on Twitch TV, so big thanks to them. You can check them out on Twitch on Twitter and on Twitch on Facebook. It's there, and you guys can go support them for supporting us. Hashtag big fans of Twitch. And of course, last but not least, Asus back at it again with the CSL family for the 2016 to 2017 season. If you guys are in the mood for monitors, laptops, routers, graphics cards, motherboards, and more, check out Asus. You can do that on Twitter and Facebook as well. So a big fan of Asus for helping us showcase some of the best collegiate talent out there in the ULoL Campus Series this season. So those are our sponsors. Of course, big thanks to you guys for coming out tonight, tuning in to our best of three tonight between York and University of Ottawa. Sit tight, sit back, relax, and enjoy a couple of minutes for a quick break before we get into our final game of the night. It's going to be University of Ottawa versus York coming up next.
Open eye, feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and looks like we're having a little bit of an issue with the overlay, so let me sort that out. But in the meantime, we may as well go ahead and do the intros. My name is Octavian. I am joined here by the illustrious Rapid Casting, who is going to be helping me out on the desk with some color casting tonight, or this afternoon, or this morning, wherever it happens to be, wherever you happen to be. And we'll be getting into the 5v5. Oh no, this is unfortunate. The first game where the 1v1, the level 1 invade actually works out, and my overlay is not working out for it. Walk us through that, Rapid, because we didn't get to catch quite all of it.
Yeah, this is where scrim. This is where you GG go next, because that is not the way you want to start off the game. But beautiful reaction. This is why best of series are so infinitely preferable to best of ones, because you get a chance to learn about your opponent. And a perfect prediction, having been on these sides in game one and known exactly what York liked to do. Beautiful reaction there, waiting, and try brushes are always something that, unless you have some movement speed boosts, are something that, have home field advantage, because that team on that side can get there faster. Well, knowing that they expected to see York all pile through there, it was just beautiful positioning. The area of effect from a Mantra Soul Flare, right hit onto everybody, and insane damage coming out in the level 1. 3 kills to start the game, and plenty of summoner spells used already. So this is not the way you want to start if you're York, and if they want to come back from this, it will take them some time, because you're going to funnel a lot of early gold on in there. And already in the mid lane, Ace King all in there, putting out a bunch of damage right back onto open backpack.
And the mid lane is a lane that we were worried about in the picks and bans, so it's definitely is something we've got to be looking at pretty closely. And give me just a moment here, folks. Sorry about this. I'm not sure why we're having... There we go. I'm not sure why the overlay is giving me so many problems today, but we're going to have to go a little bit bare bones, at least for the start of this match. But fear not, we've still got the gameplay on the screen for y'all, even if it was slightly obscured for a few moments there. As Scrandor playing aggressively, looks for the hook onto ULoL, is not quite able to find it though. And as we mentioned earlier, Blitzcrank is rather binary. If that doesn't land, he doesn't have much pressure for another 10-15 seconds in the lane.
Keeping an eye on the rest of the map here as we do follow things like the Blitzcrank, which was pretty hyped up. Scrander made some big moves on that champion, but we also have to talk about another hype champion that is also somewhat underrepresented, Octavian. It's the top lane Karma, and just like Blitzcrank is kind of the Scrander special, top lane Karma has been, for Corey, at least for the longest time, kind of his go-to kind of wacky pick up there. It's not a champion you get to see, but in the hands of a master, it can actually just be so frustrating to deal with. Because the damage that you take from top lane Karma, it comes from weird places. I've seen a lot of Karmas go Fervor of Battle, and also build or run in some attack speed runes, because the physical damage from being auto-attacked over and over and over again, sometimes that is what is actually the more damaging factor there. Level 3 power spike in bottom lane.
And Harry Zeri as well, coming in for a bit of a power spike of his own, delivered on the end of a very, very powerful fist. But there's another fist, pulling Harry back under the turret. A cheeky re-engage from Scrandor, but without an 80 carry to help him out. I don't think he's able to claim that kill. And a good start, for sure, from the side of Ottawa.
Certainly is. I'm actually going to go check out some of these runes and mastery style of top lane Karma this is, just because it is such a rare occurrence. But now coming down to the bottom side of the map, it's the baby. Blast putting his way over the wall, and now going to get the big jump in on to Janna.
Oh, he may be able to find a kill, but a heal is going to dissuade him from chasing any further. And it looks like his time will be spent for a few summoners. Certainly not bad, but not what we need to see York doing to recover from this early game deficit. Good stun to Ace King.
Okay, so it's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Almost exactly. It's 15% attack speed runes on this top lane Karma, but mid lane is where most of the action's going. Ace King pushed all the way out of lane. Let me just talk about this top lane Karma for a second, because it's super, super cool. If you guys are looking to play this, either follow Corey's example or go check out Shakara's top lane Karma guide. It's got a lot of cool tips. You want CDR, you want attack speed, and you want ability power. Attack speed might look weird, but you get so much bonus from just going into that early on. It helps you last it, helps you get that auto attack damage down, which is just so annoying to deal with. And we're probably going to be looking for like an Iceborne Gauntlet early on, which is going to be really, really cool to see work out here. It's not a build that you guys might be expecting, but it's going to look cool once it gets there.
And one of the things you got to keep in mind in regards to the attack speed is that Karma's auto attacks actually pack much more of a punch than they seem to, not because they do a lot of damage themselves, but because each auto attack onto an enemy champion lowers the cooldown of her ultimate. And so you can get those empowered soul flares out more often, and those are where most of your base damage comes from in the lane. So it really is quite a boon just to be able to peck away at the enemy champion more and more and more so that you can get those empowered abilities down more frequently.
Yeah, definitely very true. The biggest thing about Karma, the Mantrid ratios are just kind of off the chain, quite literally. I was trying to keep an eye on exactly what that is as we watch these top lane trades, but I mean, you just really can't deal with Karma's ability to heal herself all the way back up by mantraing her focused resolve, which turns into, I'm trying to remember, I think it's renewal when you do mantra that. Gives you so much health coming back. And even Maokai, kind of the king of that top lane sustain, can't really deal too much with that. So top lane is going to be a cool matchup to watch, even if it won't be the most dynamic for the time being. But it's not just about the way that the early lane phase works. It's going to be about the teams and how they play when it comes to these 5v5s. And certainly with an Infernal Drake spawning as our first elemental dragon of the game, might get to see those 5v5s happen a little bit ahead of schedule.
And some focus on the bottom lane I don't think would be unwarranted, as we've already seen Harry Zeri down there, and DaBaby has just now hit his level 6 power spike, so is more than likely looking for a ganking opportunity. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some explosive action over the next minute or two down in the bottom side of the map. And, you know, my prediction is coming true a little bit more quickly than I thought. There's the hook onto ULoL, and there's DaBaby with the ulti coming in on the hunt and claiming a victim. First victim, in fact, for York, who are now 1-4 back in kills.
It's going to give Rengar the first stack on his Bone Tooth necklace, going to put York on the board. And keep in mind, while it might look a little bit one-sided, that 4-1 score, that's just because of the level 1, which for the remainder of the game, or at least the early game, York are going to be trying to fight their way back from. So keep in mind, it's not an even game. So when you compare strengths between champions, it's not going to be kind of on an even playing field. So just definitely keep that in mind when you're trying to judge relative strengths here. It's going to mean that York, for the most part, is going to be playing on the back foot, not because they're a worse team or worse players, but because they do have to deal with that early deficit. So, I mean, this is the game that matters. It's tied up at 1-1. Both of these teams coming into today's ULoL Campus Series were undefeated, both having gone 2-0 in the first opening, in their first 2 opening games. So one of these teams will still be undefeated at the end, and with an Inferno Drake taken, it's a great way to continue to get yourself closer and closer to that undefeated status.
Some clever sort of attempted wave control there from Kouri as he pulled the minion up against the wall instead of allowing it to crash into the turret. He's going to try and potentially freeze the wave here, at least gain control over it, though Ken Shifu is doing his best to shove it out as quickly as possible, maybe looking for an opportunity to base. And the top lane continues to be interesting, even if it's just in the sort of macro play and the lane awareness that you have to have in a matchup which is so very off the wall.
Yeah, we are going to see DaBaby get in for a red buff takedown and maybe looking to take down some champions as he goes up to the top lane. However, with a recall, Corey's going to get out of there before Rengar even shows up. On the other side, Harry Abs, or Zeri Abs, or Harry Zeri, whatever you want to call him, is getting a lot of work done elsewhere. On the big grab on the bottom lane.
Apologies for the interruption, Rapid, but we've got action on the bottom side, and ULoL just barely escaping with his life is going to leave Victor Cow to fight it out. Teleport being called in, a big red beam of light into the sky. Chases Victor Cow away, and Chike just barely sidesteps. But we've got Harry Zeri. He's past level 6. This man can point and he can click. He doesn't really need to, though. His open backpack claims the kill. Gets pulled under the turret, and this is a strange case of deja vu from last time, and it's going to work out about equally well for Skrandor.
Yeah, flash and dash in there from Harry Abs to seal the deal on that second kill. 2-0, and the strong gets stronger here. It's just not going to be a great spot to go in on.
Oh, no.
Haze King.
Trying to clean out the minion wave with Voice of Light. He does manage to at least claim 1 kill, and here's DaBaby for another. Meanwhile, top lane, things are happening. It's about all the play-by-play you can do.
Top lane, Corey's actually going to be able to pick up this kill. The chain will latch, and a nice prediction.
Perhaps not! Play. That's a turnaround from Ken Shifu, going invulnerable. With the twisting advance, he avoids that final soul flare and claims the life of an over-aggressive Corey.
Okay, that's just a little bit sick right there, guys. Outplaying Corey into the ground. He's gonna go back to base the hard way, and with that respawn timer, hand over a 300 gold there to Kenshi Fu. Very, very well played there. The untargetability from that twisted advance, almost more valuable than the crowd control itself. Able to turn that one around and win the 1v1. Corey getting a little bit ahead of himself and pays for it with his life.
Yeah, and it's a very, very rough lane to start falling behind in as well, because Karma does great in the early laning phase as far as the top lane Karma is concerned, and can outdo a lot of squishier champions, but when facing off against the sort of mega take that a Maokai can become, really Kobri's just going to have almost no impact on Ken Shifu if he manages to get rolling. There's a hook onto Victor Cow, though. We may have to get back to that point eventually. There's the kill for Chike, and Scrandor comes online with a nicely landed Blitzcrank hook.
Wow, I mean, I guess the saying is that, form is temporary, but class is permanent. Well, when it comes to, even starts, that's where we've seen York actually really shine. This is an uneven start, and you're still starting to see, hey, even though the cards were stacked against them, they've still got the win potential here. Exhaust used to keep that Aurelion Sol alive.
Ace King managing to trade 1-for-1. His open backpack goes for the flashy play. And now a leap onto Harry Zeri means that DaBaby gets himself a kill as well in parallel to the fight in mid lane.
And things are starting to even up here, Octavian. A grab there on a Yuyu.
Very clever flanking there from Scrandor and Chike. They claim a flash off of the Janna as they were in an unanticipated location. And they're going to easily be able to walk away.
Yeah, just coming back from base and already might be having to head back there. Now top lane, DaBaby's getting back in on it.
Oh man, Rapid barely able to get a word in edgewise before we jump back into the action. DaBaby claiming himself a third victim of the game. And now we're 8-8. Clean tied up on kills, clean tied up on gold as well. With the only advantage to show for their 3-0 start, and that level 1 being a Volcanic Drake to the side of Ottawa.
I mean, that's cool and everything, but at the same time, it's not how you start the game, it's how you finish it, Octavian. That might seem like a platitude, which is not an amphibious mammal, but is actually just a saying that seems obvious. But you got to give some credit to the resilience here by York. Now, I mean, Ace King's going to have some struggles right here. Can he actually make it out alive? Round. Voice of Light going to be the voice of his untimely demise. He gets taken out by Harry Zeri.
Yeah, casting animation just a little bit too lethargic on that ultimate. Still allowed Harry Zeri to dash in there with the Vault Breaker. And Harry Zeri has been something of a menace on this Vi this game, claiming not only the Dragon for his team, but also a few very aggressive kills. But he's about equally matched by DaBaby, and I think this is the first game in the series. Oh, I may have to get back to my point, as the blue buff is being attempted at here by both sides. There's the hook landing on the Harry Zeri. Maybe actually not what Scrandor was looking for. I think he was trying to steal away the blue no. As Chike and Scrandor both get stunned up. Playing with fire, they are going to be burned.
Wow. Yeah, really big misread there by York. Misread the situation and said, hey, this is one that we want to poke in on. No, the roam from open backpack closes the deal there on that fight. 2-0, and now a rotation back to the mid lane to take that outer turret.
And it's even more rough than it looks. Shifu burned teleport flanking in on that fight, but then it just went south so fast he simply went to farm the minion wave instead. That is actually a pretty big deal. Harry Zeri going to be stealing away a red, and if DaBaby sticks around to fight this one out, he may find himself outnumbered. He has to flash and burn the ulti. And he just about escapes, but again at the cost of some pretty important summoners and ultimates.
Yeah, tanks fighting tanks on the bottom half of the map there. Corey should be fine. His mantra is up, and he'll be able to have that renewal. But Ken Shifu might want more. He's going to go deep underneath the turret, and the renewal might just bait him out.
Yeah, this seems overly aggressive to me. Corey's going to claim the 1-for-1. Okay, I don't really know. I don't think that benefits either side over much. But meanwhile, up top lane, we have a push going on into an outer turret, and in mid lane it is being matched.
I think it's actually a pretty good trade just because so many minions and experience and gold die to that turret down there. So, I mean, when it comes to Maokai, I mean, trading kills is almost just worth it, not because he's a carry, but because he just gets impossibly tanky. Oh, that last turret shot!
Yep.
Open backpack!
And the attempted flashy play from Scrandor bites him hard in the butt on the way out of the turret. And now we've got an attempt at the dragon here. This has been just so very back and forth over the last few minutes, as York are at least going to be able to get this Drake uncontested. There's nobody coming their way.
There we go. Second dragon of the game. This one to the other side. York finding a little bit of a moral victory as they take that objective and walk away. Now, I mean, the goal count's been fluctuating wildly this game, Octavian. It's difficult to say exactly just who is ahead. It seems like York are the better team overall, but sometimes, man, they just get a little too ahead of themselves.
And that's the third flash engage that we've seen in as many minutes. That gives you an idea of exactly how action-packed this game has been. Scrandor will fall for a double kill, but it looks like York is maybe starting to turn this one around. Ken Shifu in the middle of the team. Oh, DaBaby turning back around with some good damage, but Korea is just a little bit too resilient to fall. The turret, however, might do enough. No, he gets a shield on the way out. He's just fine. Harry Zeri makes it out too. That feels so bad for Chike. One auto away from a double kill.
Octavian, this is the disgusting creation that is top lane tank Karma. Absolutely ludicrous, unfair in every way. Get this out of here. So sick to watch, but so good to see a player like Corey use this champion to fullest potential. Very low cooldowns. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you can just check out a few stats here. Checking out the cooldown reduction. Yeah, 30% there, so not quite maxed out, but it's looking so insane. You're going to have AoE shields that are actually just going to be so big. Windspeaker's Blessing buffing them up even more, and able to save not only herself, but also the rest of her team and get the rest of her team out alive. Just absolutely insane. MVP performance there by Corey. Also summoner heal used there by Victor Cow to add that healing to the pile. And this, I mean, there's just nothing fair about what just happened there, Octavian.
Oh man, and then particularly for Chike, I feel for that guy because his autos were the ones that almost claimed 2 kills, and that's just gotta feel really bad. But one way or another, they did get the dragon on the way out, and it was a messy fight. I would still call this game really rather even, but Ottawa is starting to mount something of an advantage for themselves. And I want to come back to a pick that we had some worries about in the draft, in the form of this Aurelion Soul. Like, having had 17.5 minutes to watch this play out, how wise do you think that pick was back in the draft?
Which pick specifically?
The Aurelion Soul for Ace King in the mid lane.
So Aurelion Soul kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think either team really expected it. You know, maybe if you know the player specifically, grab over the wall there, isolating core, super tanky, and might be able to survive there. Stun does disable him.
Gets the healing.
Much survivability.
DaBaby might be going down, pretty much decidedly going down, and Kouri manages to make it out alive against all odds. And what looked like a good pick for Scrandor turns out to be something of a false start, which backfires as we see Ottawa shove down the mid lane for a secondary turret.
Wow. The baby's aggressive Rengar style is one that he's able to use to leverage an advantage early on, but when it comes to team play, some communication to work on. Now, Harry's there, you're going to get grabbed back in, but once again, that's
much peel.
And look at the healing there as well.
There's just so much peel. There's so much resilience in these team fights between Karma shields across the whole team, as you said, but also Monsoon, and even Scatter the Weak in the traps from Jinx. I'm not recalling the name at the moment, but just so very many ways. Yes, the chompers. So very many ways to back away from a fight. Every time we see Scrandor land a hook, or Ken Shifu dive in with his W, or even DaBaby leap to the back lines, they're just denied 3 times over.
Yeah, so we're going to need to get all the players back into the game, so a brief pause here. I want to take this opportunity, Octavian, to really talk about a couple of things. This is, so back in my day, we used to have this thing called a shield composition, which used to be run with Karma as either an AP or a support champion, and then you'd also have things like Lulu, like Urgot was even in there. Basically, the idea is everybody has shields, sometimes maybe multiple shields, and you just run and you just dominate your opponents because you have more health than they do. This is a version of that, but it's more like an AoE, like shield heal composition, and one of the reasons that it works so well is because York played right into it with their champion picks. No champion on this York team builds any healing reduction. There's no Morellonomicons built by any champion. Maybe Aurelion Sol picks that up later on, but he opted to go for the Hextech GLP first. So no healing reduction there. Nobody builds Immortal Reminder at any point in their build until maybe 4th item. So it's just going to take so long to really limit what is the main strength of this lineup. I mean, sure, you get to that 4 or 5 item level, you might start running into a little bit of struggles, but I mean, by the time you get there, Corey's going to be impossible to kill. Will just actually never die, and the value that he and UEU will add to the rest of the team with these AoE shields and heals will just be too much.
Yeah, it's like they're fighting a team of all 5 tanks, and they really don't have anything put together to melt through tankiness, so it's certainly going to be rough for them. Maybe they're wishing they'd gone with a slightly more capable AD carry in that regard, at least. But all that aside, the draft is far behind us, 20 minutes and 8 seconds behind us, in fact, as DaBaby pops into his ulti.
That was a reactionary scarial to say, oh man, I might be caught out preemptively. Just using it, I guess, also to scout out the enemy team. Now, going forward with a leap onto Harry's there, that is not the direction you want to go, and he's going to get blown up.
Yeah, DaBaby desperately not wanting to waste the ulti leaps into something of a rough situation. Harry Zeri, though, diving to the backline, is going to get exhausted and immediately peel back out. There's the Karma Shield across the whole team. However, a knockup onto Ace King, and he is utterly eliminated. There's the R button as well from Open Backpack. Unleashed Power, doing some darn good work and murdering itself in Ezreal. Oh, DaBaby, no! The Wolf Camp would have claimed the kill if Harry Zeri hadn't turned the corner for it. And just, that was such a one-sided team fight, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Open Backpack really the MVP of this series so far, able to not only get that early advantage off of the level 1, but to snowball it into a massive lead in the mid lane. This Aurelion Sol not working out as that mid lane pick for Ace King. I mean, sure, it might be something that he's comfortable with. When it comes to the team comp, you know, sometimes you gotta pick more towards what you need, not what you're feeling right then as your comfort level. So, I mean, from one objective to another, team fights, Baron's now in second Inferno Drake of the game, and Scrandor.
Very much caught out Blitzcrank. Going for some deep vision, Scrandor finds a face full of the enemy team. Has to flash away, may still be going down. Yeah, Harry's area of the wall spells doom for him. And that's one man down on a dragon fight, and equal numbers. We were already seeing some pretty rough situations for the side of York as Dragon already goes down. Kenshifu diving in. Really, they can only clean up kills here, but we'll see whether or not they actually can. Monsoon to counter out DaBaby, and already Aurelion Sol is out of the picture. It's another double kill for the Syndra as Open Backpack just runs rampant with this fight. And that very well could be the death knell for the game.
I mean, I'm not sure if surrender
I doubt
is
instantly, but I don't see much of a way back here for York.
Yeah, Octavian, it's going to be rough, I gotta tell you that. A 5-for-0 exchange and that double Inferno Drake on top of a Baron. I mean, there's not too many more buffs that, Ottawa really have to take here. You know, coming into this game, Ottawa might have been the slightly more hyped up school, not only because of their strong performance last season, but also because you have guys like, Zeriabs, who's able to climb the ladder insanely well. He's had competitive experience under his belt. But a little bit worrying, that game number 1 where they just look so shaky. But like I said, it's not how you start the game, it's not how you start the series, it's how you finish. And Ottawa have really gotten their ducks in a row here and putting up a very strong presence against this undefeated York roster. They were one of our highlighted teams from the Eastern Conference to make it further into a tournament that they've been far in, making as far as the round of 16 last season. Well, they definitely have their work cut out for them to overcome opponents like Ottawa, who is not even the strongest opponent that they will have to deal with eventually.
And after a great start to the series as well, it's got to be really, really disheartening to go into Game 3 at only 23 or 4 minutes in and be this far behind. It's very rare that you see a game where you're at a 10k deficit by the 20-minute mark turn into a victory for your side. So not only are they playing from a gold deficit, not only are they playing from a power deficit, they're also just playing from a morale deficit, as it's going to be incredibly hard to get the team together and try and win some of these team fights when they're just being steamrolled over like this with almost no real opposition. Another double kill for the Syndra. DaBaby trying his best to escape from an already failed fight. Chake will be sniped away by Victor Cow there, and it's another ace with a triple for the Syndra.
Oh my god, the strong get stronger and open backpack, just really reaping the rewards of an insanely powerful team composition. AoE shields, heals, redemption coming in there, even still, hundreds and hundreds of health healed back off of that. And there's just no way that an aggressive lineup like this York composition could really just get anything done. That 3-0 start kind of sealed their death here, and at the end of the day, 0.
All right, the reverse sweep going over to Ottawa. And GG.
Somehow I got an extra game in there.
GG to both sides, however. It was a well-fought series, that's for sure. Before we head off for the night, though, we would just like to thank our sponsors one more time, and of course thank everybody who tuned in and the teams for making this possible. So to handle all of that thanking, because he's just a much more gracious guy than me, I'm going to toss it over to Rapid, and then we'll be heading out for the day.
Just wanted to say thank you not only to Octavian, not only to our wonderful CSL crew, but also to everybody else out there for coming out and tuning into tonight's broadcast of the ULoL Campus series. If you guys liked what you saw, make sure to follow the channel and keep it tuned for more CSL action. So the ULoL Campus series will be going on for many, 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 many weeks. For more information on that, you can, of course, go over to cstarleague.com/LOL. You can find out all the things, the teams, players, rosters, news, announcements, interviews, and everything else at cstarleague.com/LOL. It wouldn't be possible without some of our sponsors. We've been shouting them out all day long. It's Band Gaming, Asus, and Twitch TV. We've talked about them, but you guys know Twitch is where we're broadcasting. Band Gaming is a great social app that the CSL uses to help coordinate everything that you guys can use too, to help get your game on together. And of course, Asus for providing not only the sickest hardware, but also rejoining with us for this 2016-2017 season to help us bring you guys sick collegiate esports content. So of course, a big thanks to not only all of our sponsors, but once again, all of you for coming out and hopefully enjoying this broadcast. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Octavian, any final words? I'm just going to assume that's a no.
None at the moment. My mic cut out. I had a few final words, but my mic actually decided that they weren't worthy of being heard by the fine folks watching. So I'm very, very much apologetic for that. But all of the some of the technical mishaps aside, I hope you all enjoyed the stream, because I certainly did. It was a treat to broadcast these two teams and to broadcast alongside my fine co-caster, Rapid. And with all that being said, we're going to play a short ad break. If you want to stick around and watch to help support us, that's just fine. But if not, thanks for watching, folks. Click that follow button for more as we move into the season, and have a great one.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.